Sometimes a win feels like a loss, and this is one of those times. I'm Glenn Naughton with JetNation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. Jets go on the road again. Tough environment again. Tough team again. That Denver defense is something else. Jets come away with a 16-9 win. But Jets fans right now probably don't care a whole lot about that. Yes, they're 5-2. Yes, they have greatly improved their chances to make the playoffs. However, running back Breece Hall leaves with a knee injury, and it appears, or at least it is being speculated at the moment, that it is an ACL and Hall will be done for the year. Why is this a big deal? Because he is the Jets offense right now. He's it. He's the whole show. Zach Wilson, listen, rooting for the guy like hell, wanted him out of the draft. He's got to be better. He has got to be better. This is not a sustainable formula to win football games. You are not going to keep winning games with your quarterback throwing 0 touchdowns. He threw 0 touchdowns today. He threw 0 touchdowns the week before that. He threw 0 touchdowns the week before that. He threw 1 touchdown the week before that. Zach Wilson's on pace for 3 or 4 touchdowns this year. That's not going to do it, folks. That's not going to get it done. And I am far from a Zach Wilson hater. I'm just saying, Zach's got to be better, especially now with Breece Hall out. We don't know the status of Elijah Vera Tucker. We don't know the status of Corey Davis. Nothing for certain. Vera Tucker left the game with, I believe, an elbow. Corey Davis left the game. He came back after the half. Looked like he was trying to loosen up, stretch on the sidelines. Did not come back in the game. So, yes, it was a limited supporting cast. Of course, we already knew going into the game the Jets were going to be without Elijah Moore. The Jets had to give him a me day to get his head right because of all the stress of not catching a football during a win against the Packers. So now you've got no Elijah Moore. You got Davis out. You've got Hall out. You've got Vera Tucker out. I'm talking about today, of course, after the half. And Zach Wilson, like I said, you can tell me, but Glenn, you just rattled off the guys he didn't have today. Of course he didn't have any touchdown passes. He didn't have any last week either. And I watched a little bit of that Washington-Green Bay game today. Funny enough, today, Green Bay didn't look like the 85 Bears. They did last week. Taylor Henneke had himself a pretty nice day. Threw a few touchdowns, a couple touchdowns against Green Bay. Got the win. So this wasn't the same Green Bay defense that we saw last week. Zach Wilson has a way of making teams on defense look fantastic. And listen, I get that the O-line, the protection, broke down at times. However, there were also lots of times where the protection was good enough to make a play. And Zach Wilson held on too long. We saw him late in the game, Zach Wilson sail an easy completion over Tyler Conklin's head. Easy first down. Sailed it right over his head. Wide open, right over the middle. So Zach Wilson is not improving. This doesn't mean I'm saying he's a bust. This doesn't mean I'm writing him off. What I'm saying is, if he doesn't start making more plays, and Breece Hall is out, season's pretty much over. You're not going to beat anybody. Who are you going to beat not throwing any touchdowns and without the one guy who was finding the end zone? So Joe Douglas has some work to do. Trade deadline is 8 days away, 7-8 days away. I'm not saying there's got to be a blockbuster deal, but somebody's got to have a running back out there that Douglas can make some calls about. I mean, listen, I like Michael Carter, but he's not a workhorse. He's not a bell cow running back. Ty Johnson's a nice player. I think he's a good fit for this offense. But if you're without Breece Hall, which it looks like the Jets will be, you got to make a move somewhere. So offensively, the Jets sputtered, barely got by. As I said, the one touchdown was a 62-yard touchdown run. Greg the Leg Zuerlein goes 3 for 3 on his field goals. That's basically, he was the difference in this game, scoring-wise. And the Jets on defense, I mean, can this secondary be any more fun to watch? I'm glad Jerry Jeudy was okay. I thought DJ Reed knocked him into next week. I didn't think he was going to come up. I didn't think he was going to finish the game. DJ Reed blew him up early on. DJ Reed had a beautiful pass breakup on a well-thrown ball. Later in the game, deep down the middle of the field, Brett Rippon launched one, I believe it was to Sutton, down the middle, who, he towers over DJ Reed. DJ Reed leaves his feet, hand up between, timed it perfectly, gets his hand in between Sutton's hand, bats the ball away. Sauce Gardner with a big pass breakup on basically a game-saving or prevented the tie anyway, with Denver driving and trying to get a game-tying touchdown on what would have been their final series. Then the Jets go out and I think it was in fact it was the two final drives. They tested Sauce. Sauce got a PBU on one, and Rippon threw a poor ball on the other one that Reed may have gotten a hand on, or Whitehead. But either way, this secondary has been so much fun to watch. The D-line wasn't nearly as good as they were last week, but they did make some plays. Quinnen Williams had a quarterback hit that led to LaMarcus Joyner's interception because Rippon had to get rid of it a lot sooner than he wanted to. Only one sack that was shared by Lawson and Huff. John Franklin Myers, I believe, had a TFL. So there wasn't the dominance up front that we saw last week. But we did see them make plays in some big spots. They did shut down the run completely. I believe Denver had fewer than 70 yards rushing, I believe. Really just, they couldn't get anything going on the ground. That's why despite the low score, they kept throwing. Rippon threw the ball 46 times, 24 for 46. No touchdowns, one interception, as I said, to Joyner. He didn't look great. I mean, Rippon had a couple of balls that he put in a good spot, but the Jets just made plays on them. I'm not convinced it would have been any better for Denver had Russell Wilson played. And looking at how he's played recently, I think Denver is just basically in a bad spot right now with their quarterbacks. And the Jets managed to come out, and the defense carried the day. One big touchdown run from Breece Hall, and that was it on offense. Nothing else. I'm waiting to hear somebody say ESPN, Rich Cimini, somebody is going to look it up and they're going to tweet out that the last time a team won 3 games in a row, I know the Jets have won 4 in a row, but they've won 3 in a row without a touchdown pass. It's going to be something that has happened only a couple times in the last 30, 40, 50 years. I can't see it being something that's happened more than a couple times. Matter of fact, I would want to look and see that Ravens' first Super Bowl team when they had Tony Banks at quarterback early in the year. They may have strung a few, but I mean that is the best defense I've ever seen in my life. 85 Bears may have been better. They predate my fandom by 2 years. But as it stands, the Jets are 5-2. It's something to be happy about. But do you think you're beating the Buffalo Bills without throwing a touchdown pass? How many teams do you think you're going to beat without throwing a touchdown pass now that you've lost Breece Hall? I don't know. It's not pretty. So this should be a game where we are doing backflips and celebrating and expecting this team to make a run to make a push for a playoff spot. But instead, we sit and we wait for news on Breece Hall, for news on Elijah Moore, whether or not he's going to be a part of this team. We wait and see what type of effort the Jets get from him. Who knows if he's going to give 50%, 60%, 100%. We have no idea. We just know he's on a team he doesn't want to be on anymore. So, does the effort wane? We'll have to wait and see. But, weird. I feel like it was a tough win. You know, sometimes you say you had a tough loss. This is a tough win. And not in that the other team was tough, but it feels like there was a lot more bad than good in this one, even though you come away with a victory. Another week. We'll We'll recap this and more. Frustrating situation. Thursday night, Jet Nation Live, myself and Dylan Terriman. We will cover this game, the injuries, and the future, and what we think Joe Douglas will or won't do to try to make sure this team can keep humming along. Zach Wilson has got to be better. See you next time, Jets fans.